two-part episode in a special screening at the Academy Theater. I think everybody took a real sense of pride that they had bared the heat and had braved the elements and had come back with, I think, a terrific two-part episode.
Season 8, walking into that show, not only did we have the challenge of setting up Robert Patrick as a character, but we had the opportunity to figure out how to help get David off the show, and torturing him, I guess, was Chris's answer to that.
The alien torture machine was kind of a challenge because it was one of the few times when we were able to use motion control in the series.
A motion control camera is on a computerized module. You run the camera through the same motion time and again, and you keep adding elements.
We shot a blank plate for just the set and the lighting elements that were in the set, and then 5 different passes, once with the bounty hunter in a different position for each pass. By blending all these passes together, we were able to clone the alien bounty hunter.
We all see super tech now, but the idea of low tech was much more interesting to me and much more visual. To take elements of rock and steel and chisel them into interesting shapes. I found the backdrop from Alien, and Bill Rowe lit it very dimly and put it behind, and it was just this rotating platform with this humongous dental piece that kind of could rotate around as well and pull his face apart.
We devised a laser effect where a device is going into his mouth and some other kind of weird lens effects that were going over the scene to kind of give it an alien, otherworldly quality.
I had to set up a very, very highly magnified lens to try to get this little device coming right at us. It was very, very scary. We ended up putting some really cool sound effects in there, the little servos and motors.
Matthew Mungo, he's the one that sculpted that. He's our makeup effects lab at WM Creations. He made the cheeks, put the hooks in them, and they actually would stretch out. David sat pretty good through all that.
I just wanted to make a really all-out, scary, creepy, get under your skin, literally and figuratively, sort of an X-File.
Oh, hold on.
One of my favorite movies of all time is Bad Day at Black Rock, starring Spencer Tracy. It's a wonderful movie where this strong, silent guy goes into this little town in the middle of the American desert, middle of nowhere. Everyone in the town is sort of odd.
Your life is about to take a wonderful turn.
And it was really the inspiration for it.
Oh! What did you put in me? I'm gonna get every last one of you bastards! That was an animatronic slug. No! No! I'm pregnant! No! No, don't do this! And it was pretty intricate because she was laying on a bed, and what we did is put a false, like, fiberglass back over her, and that's where the slug had run up.
I had to shoot shots of Doggett putting his knife into the back of Scully's neck and prying this stuff out. I actually had cameramen start to lose it almost.
That idea began because I was actually on a rafting trip, which I had never been on a rafting trip before, with a guy I didn't know very well, a group of friends, and this was a friend of a friend, and he was saying that there was an image that freaked him out, which was opening a tube of toothpaste and having blood come out. And I thought, wow, that is a weird image, but that's impossible. And I thought, how could you create a story where blood comes out of a tube of toothpaste? And there really is no real-world scenario I could come up with where that would happen. And so I started to think of dreams and nightmares. Then the story actually came to me very quickly about a cult trying to reach a higher plane and instead stumbling on a lower plane, on a darker plane. Or what if the higher plane is a darker plane? What if, we think we're reaching up and we're reaching down?
Mr. Bormanis, Andre Bormanis?
I've known Andre Bormanis since grade school.
He's a convicted drug dealer that served time with Tippett.
In Phoenix, Arizona.
Dr. Bormanis.
Andre is a scientist who formerly worked for NASA.
Planes of being that our feeble brain chemistry cannot begin to imagine.
Man, I just looked for a way to kill him on the show.
We spent the whole day shooting inserts of rats. We had 500 rats there. They scatter to the walls. They're getting under the bed. They're getting under the toilet. We literally have the trainers throwing rats out saying, get them in the middle. We want to see the rats. Here's the dirty little secret about visual effects. We had a great many hours painting out rat droppings in that shot because that's all you saw on the floor.
I was eager in that episode to use the Lone Gunman characters and have them meet Doggett because I knew I wouldn't have much of Scully.
Agent Scully asked us to give her assistance, not to go through her files.
Like she's going to care.
Yeah, right.
No one knew how to write that episode because we didn't have Gillian Anderson.
I'm sorry, Agent Doggett. I can't go.
Agent Scully?
Something unexpected has come up.
So it was sort of like, well, you've got this brand new character of John Doggett, and you don't have your continuing character. What are you going to do with this story? And it was sort of a problem. And then it became this incredible bonus plus great opportunity for Robert Patrick's character and for Robert Patrick, the actor.
I'm not going to let you do that. I'm sorry. I'm not going to kill her.
That's my favorite episode, one of my favorite episodes, because we had a chance to really be vulnerable and do some things that we don't normally do.
I'm not sure I'm awake.
Bad Law came from a little bit of desperation on my part, actually. I was working on an episode of The Lone Gunman, and I needed to have a script very soon on my next X-File. So I remember walking to the Vancouver airport, and it just occurred to me, what if somebody who came up and asked me for money was actually a bad guy?
We ended up shooting it in a cruise line terminal down in the docks, which had a sort of a rather dated feel, which is something you tend to find if you look at newsreel footage of India. They always have old English cars from the 60s. Cruise line terminal in Long Beach was perfect.
I remember calling Rick Milliken, our casting director, saying, I need a small Indian man with no legs. They came up with an amazing actor named Deep Roy. He was one of the people behind R2-D2 and Empire Strikes Back. The way that we made him look like he had no legs, they made a special cart that has a false bottom. For very specific moments, we would blue screen the front of the cart, and then later our computer graphics people would put in the street or whatever it was under it.
It was a squeak that had to let us know that it was him. It had to scare us. It had to be creepy. We came up with just the right squeak that John said, okay, that's the one.
Crying out loud. Listen, fella, I already gave.
One thing about this episode that I'm sort of proud of is that people often told me that it's probably the most disgusting thought they've ever had, that this little man would actually enter your body and travel around inside you. And my original idea was there's a beggar with no legs who can actually shrink himself and climb inside your ear. And Chris Carter, and this is why he's Chris Carter, he said, no, I know what's better.
Chris really felt, since it was the end of the Mulder-Scully era, that we should return to the beginning.